Dzokerayi Mokome, owner, Zim Cuisine.
My name is Dzokerayi Mokome. My business name is Zim Cuisine. I co-own it with my husband, Fungai Mokome.
What was your pathway to becoming a business owner?
So I was born and raised in Zimbabwe along with my husband. We have enjoyed wholesome organic food our entire lives and basically just take it for granted that all food is organic, wholesome, farm to fork. And when we moved to Davis, we noticed that the community itself has some diversity, but when you go into the restaurants in town, you don't necessarily see the same diversity reflected in the food. And so that kind of gave us a passion and also an opportunity to share some of our food background and in also the way that we prepare our food and the different flavors that we have in our food. We noticed also that African food is generally not represented in the US, particularly when we come to Northern California. And when we go down to our region, which is Southern African food, we really recognize that there really isn't any Southern African food restaurants in this part of the country. So that was partly part of our motivation. We have hosted dinners our entire lives. We've hosted dinners in our home. We've hosted charity dinners. We have a nonprofit also called Tessa Foundation. And so at times we've fundraised for that and we've made our food. We've gotten quite a following. We've had people enjoy the food so much that they've prompted us as well and encouraged us to, think about finding a space to do that. And so that's how Zim Cuisine was born. Zim for Zimbabwe and then cuisine. So basically food from Zimbabwe. So the flavors are Southern African food. Even though every single country has different flavors, you will see that they sometimes intersect. So we call our flavor Southern African because it really reflects a general scope of or a region, which is the southern part of Africa. So yeah, and so after that, we registered our company and we started looking for opportunities to cater and came up with a menu and have just grown the menu from there. So it's been a great journey, and we found that people enjoyed the food, appreciated the food, and it's given us an opportunity to showcase what organic, slow cooked food is like. Um, African food typically takes 3 to 4 hours to cook, and it depends how big the population is. And so for a bigger crowd, even longer. And so I've noticed that with the busyness of life, we've all kind of lost that idea of slow cooked food. And so this gives us an opportunity as well to reintroduce, food that you purchase that is slow cooked and homemade. And we try our very best to use organic and, farm raised and grass fed beef. And so even our meat and our vegetables are, we try to ethically source them, and we want to just bring fresh vegetables and meat to the public. So that's our story of how Zim Cuisine was born.
What skills serve you well in your business?
So the expertise we bring, I have a business background. I did an undergrad in business administration and MBA. And so my business background has been essential in managing a small business because we cannot outsource a lot of help as you are starting a business. And so you find that every single aspect of my education I have to put into practice, particularly marketing and just structuring our business plan and those kind of techniques. I feel mostly that I've used my business background in how to network, how to start a business, how to have effective marketing. And now more than ever, our marketing platform is social media. And that at that time when I took my business classes, we didn't have a social media aspect, and I'm sure they do now. And that is more than essential in running a business. You definitely need a social media aspect of marketing. And then my husband is a chemistry major, he teaches chemistry, so completely different field. However, what he brings is just his lifelong learned skill of grilling meat. He does all the grilling, and it's a skill that you really need to perfect over the years because You take it for granted how perfect the meat needs to be every single time without fail, and the temperatures of the food and everything else. And so he definitely brings that to the table. Another thing that I do bring is my catering experience. I've had work experience in the catering industry for over 15 years, in sales and catering for hotels. And so, even though this is a different skill in terms of its food versus the hotel, you still see that you need the management aspect of the food business. And so, I was involved in doing that, and it's been very helpful in us developing this business.
What have you learned in starting a new business?
So one big skill that I learned is you have to be flexible. You have to plan for the unknown, and you have to learn to adjust. There's no way you can survive in business if you are set on things working a certain way. So this was a good lesson for us. And just giving an example of just this week, we've learned to do business in COVID. We ended up moving from a catering model, an events model, to cooking at the farmers market, Davis Farmers Market on Wednesday nights. And that was going well during COVID. And then the fires happened, and then we found ourselves needing to adjust our business model even then. And so we temporarily shifted to a delivery model. So my biggest lesson was being flexible as an essential part of being able to survive during these times. It is not an ordinary time. However, it's a good skill to have, because things will never turn out the way that you expect. When you're preparing food, you never know how it will turn out, and you should always just be ready to change direction, at the spur of the moment. Another big thing that I did not realize up until we started was our need for community. We have needed our community immensely, in ways that I did not even perceive. For example, just when in getting the word out in marketing, social media alone is not effective enough. We needed to rely on word of mouth, and word of mouth only happens with your close community members that support what you're doing, support your business model, enjoy your food, and are willing to put the word out there, basically. So we found out that you need to have a community of people around you, people that can help you with emergencies. There's always going to be an emergency that happens, childcare, that you need to just call on someone at a short notice. So that is a critical part of childcare, of needing people around. It's just a simple example of just how essential it is to have a community when you're starting your business.
Are there unique challenges or opportunities you've faced?
As a first generation Black business owned company, we experience challenges that are unique to other people trying to own businesses. First of all, we did not have anyone else in our community, in our family, that had started a business. So we did not have those skills that you take for granted that you get from your parent or grandparent. We didn't have a seed donor that just, left us a bunch of money. And so I find, my encouragement is for people like me, whether you're a minority or identify as a BIPOC, that you don't have the opportunities that other people have, and you don't have the seed money, you don't have the resources, that you still have an opportunity to start. I think if you're talented in whatever you do, and you just start, even if it means selling two of your items, whatever it is, if it means fixing two cell phones and just building from there. Because I think a lot of people are overwhelmed because they don't have the resources, or they feel like they don't have enough experience to start. The only way you gain all those things is if you actually start. And so my encouragement to you is, whatever business you're planning to do, is that you do need to just start, and in whatever small capacity that you have. And going back to minority businesses, I think it's important for you to engage your community and remind them, though, that your challenges are going to be very different to other businesses, and you do need what I call allies or people that advocate to say, hey, we can see in our community, we don't have enough Black businesses. We want this business. So as I go back to the need to community, you want people around you that will, help support whatever you're doing and saying, hey, we don't have enough representation of minority businesses. We want these businesses in town. So I just encourage people to go ahead and start. It's never too late. It's never too early. I want my children to own businesses. In fact, if you come out to the farmers market, you'll see my 11-year-old son is our accountant. He's the one who handles the register. He's the one who tells people that they haven't prepaid or pre-ordered, because it's important for our kids to know at an early age about managing a business and making money and having an income. And so I encourage you to learn those skills and pass them down if you have kids, or to your future kids. So keep that in mind, that you want to pass down that skill. Somebody said something really essential that changed my perception of owning a business. They said to me, you can be a CEO of any huge firm, but the day you die, before we even bury you, that position will be given away to somebody else, to the next person. But when you own a business, you are essentially doing it for the next generation.
Dzokerayi Mokome, owner, Zim Cuisine.